EMDR isn't just about eye movements. It's a structured therapy that follows 8 specific phases. Each phase helps guide you safely through the healing process, kind of like stepping stones across a river. So here's what that journey looks like. First, we start with phase one, history taking and treatment planning. Think of this as the getting to know you phase. You and your therapist explore your history together, the current struggles you're facing, and what's bringing you to therapy. You don't have to share every detail of your trauma, just enough to identify patterns and pinpoint which memories or beliefs that you feel are holding you back. For example, someone with anxiety might realize their fear of speaking up at work isn't just about their job. It traces back to childhood moments when they were ignored or criticized. And this phase helps us to connect the dots and create a roadmap for healing. Then there's phase two, preparation and building coping skills. So before we dive into the difficult memories, we have to make sure you have the tools to stay grounded. Imagine you're about to climb a mountain. You wouldn't go without the right gear. So in this phase, preparation, well, we prepare. We're practicing calming techniques like deep breathing and visualization and mindfulness. Anything that will help you with emotional regulation, particularly for in between sessions after we've done some pretty deep diving into traumatic memories. So, for instance, some people might create a safe place in their mind, maybe a cozy cabin in the woods or a warm beach. So, whenever things feel overwhelming, they can mentally go there for comfort. This phase ensures that you feel secure before we begin processing painful experiences. And this is a phase that cannot be skipped. Then we go to phase three, which is assessment, identifying the target memories. So we basically do that. We identify the specific memory or experience to work on. I usually like to catalog a series of memories that are connected to a negative belief you may have about yourself. And it's not just about what happened, but how it affects you now. For example, if someone was bullied in school, we wouldn't just focus on the memory of that bullying only. We'd also explore the negative belief that formed due to that event, like, I'm not good enough, and how that belief still plays out in their life today. We also rate how distressing the memory feels on a scale of 0 to 10, so we can track your progress over time. And that leads us then to phase four, which is desensitization, where we reprocess these traumatic memories. And this is where the actual EMDR processing happens. While focusing on the distressing memory, you follow the therapist's hand with your eyes as they go back and forth for the bilateral stimulation, or you might follow a ball along a computer screen going back and forth. There's also auditory tones you can listen to, or tapping your shoulders, your thighs, or tapping your feet. There's different ways to engage in BLS, but the point is to keep your attention in the present and grounded while we're processing the memory from the past without getting totally immersed in it. And at first, the emotions may feel strong, but as your brain processes the memory, it often starts to shift. It's like taking an old, painful book off the shelf, reading through it, and then placing it back where it belongs without it overwhelming you. For instance, someone who was in a car accident might begin the session feeling panicked, just thinking about driving. But after processing, they may say, it happened, but I'm safe now. And the emotional charge fades and the memory loses its grip. Then we have phase five, which is installation, strengthening positive beliefs. Now that we have the painful memory processed, we're going to want to focus now on replacing the old negative beliefs that came with that memory with more adaptive positive beliefs. So if someone started with the belief, I am powerless, we work to install a new belief like, I'm in control of my life. We repeat this while continuing the eye movements or the tapping or whatever BLS the client prefers, and we just reinforce the new perspective until it feels strong and true. Many people describe this phase as a shift from knowing something logically to actually feeling it deep inside. Then we have phase six, which is a body scan. And one thing I always remind my clients is that Yeah, you were there in that memory, but so was your body. Our body stores so much as well that it carries through to the present. So we want to scan that and release any residual tension that is still attached to that memory. Because again, trauma isn't just stored in our thoughts, it's held in our bodies. So this phase helps to make sure that no physical tension remains. For example, if someone used to feel a tightness in their chest whenever they thought about their trauma, we check to see if that sensation is still there. And if any discomfort remains, we continue processing using bilateral stimulation until the body feels clear and at ease. Then we go to phase seven, which is closure, bringing you back into the present. Now, EMDR can bring up a lot of emotions, so we always end our sessions by grounding you in the present. This might include using a relaxation technique that you've learned during the preparation phase, or something that you choose that you feel will just help to ground you in that moment. And we check in on how you feel and make sure that you revisit your mental safe place. And even if a memory isn't fully processed in one session, sometimes that happens, we just make sure that you leave feeling stable and supported and not stuck in distress. And then we have finally phase eight, which is reevaluation. We're checking progress. And that starts at the beginning of the next session. We check in. How are you doing? How have you been feeling since our last session? Is anything still lingering? Have you been using your coping strategies? When you think of the last memory we processed, how distressing does it feel to you now from 0 to 10? So that's really important to reevaluate because then that will dictate which phase we're going to go into next. If we're going to continue to another memory that's in the target sequence for a treatment plan, or if we're going to go back to the memory that we did last time because it's still distressing, this reevaluation is important there. And for many people, the distress connected to the memory has significantly decreased since the last session, or maybe even disappeared. But if there's anything left to process, we just continue until that memory no longer carries emotional weight. So, what does a typical EMDR session look like? Well, I'd say an EMDR session is different from traditional talk therapy in that you don't have to go into great detail about your trauma if you don't want to. There's no need to relive every moment. Instead, we focus on how it's affecting you now. And a session usually begins with that check in, that reevaluation to see how you're feeling. Then we identify the specific memory or belief that's causing distress and we focus on that. For example, if someone grew up feeling I'm not good enough, then we might trace that back to childhood experiences where they felt unseen or unworthy. Childhood memories are particularly powerful because that's where a lot of our self concept is formed and the foundation of our beliefs of ourselves are really rooted there. So we really try to go back as early as we can when we identify memories that are connected to the negative beliefs we have about ourselves. Now, if we were in the desensitization phase of therapy, you would focus on that memory while we're engaging in bilateral stimulation, such as following my fingers or moving ball on a computer screen with your eyes, or tapping your shoulders or upper thighs with your hands, or tapping your feet, whatever's comfortable for you. And this back and forth stimulation just helps your brain to naturally reprocess the experience, like how it organizes information during REM sleep. And over time, the emotional charge of the memory fades and new, more positive beliefs often emerge, like I am enough. Again, you have to remember that each session is unique when it comes to EMDR, as it depends on which phase of therapy you're in. Some people experience a sense of relief or clarity right away, while for others, the shifts happen more gradually. There's no right or wrong way to do it. We're working with you at your pace and what your brain allows you to do because our brains always tend towards healing. It always trends towards healing. It always wants to get better. And we're just giving it the tools and the safety and the space to do that. And the goal is always the same, to help you release negative beliefs about yourself and become less stuck in the past.